The views expressed are not necessarily those of KSCJ and Powell Broadcasting Company. This program is not intended to replace the advice of doctors or other clinical providers. Consult with your practitioner to ensure the proper course of action for you.
Welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well on AM 1360, FM 94.9 KSCJ. This program is dedicated to your mental health wellness and brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency. Here's your host, Art Silva.
Good morning, Siouxland. I'm Art Silva, and welcome to When Things Aren't Going Well. This show is dedicated to your mental wellness and how you can help yourself navigate the daily highway of life. We hope to educate and motivate you to help improve your mental wellness environment. Our show is brought to you by Family Services, a United Way partner agency serving the Siouxland community. Our topic today is MercyOne's Senior Behavior Health Care Program. And joining me is Brittany Poss. Good morning, Brittany.
Hi, good morning, Art. Thank you for having me.
And how are you today?
I'm very well, despite this wintry mix outside.
Well, I got to tell you, I understand now. We got a little birthday celebration going here, so let me wish you a happy birthday.
Oh, well, thank you. I am big on celebrating my birthday, so I appreciate any happy birthdays coming from you.
Okay, MercyOne employees out there, send Brittany a birthday card, okay? Or buy a lunch, okay? You'll be set for the rest of the month. Have a birthday month. Well, we're glad to have you here this morning. Have you started to notice the greening of Siouxland? All the green starting to come through. It's just that time of year. We're getting a little fuzz. And now we're going into the green season as opposed to the brown season. So this is really good. All good. All bodes well. So let's talk about your program. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then talk about the program at Mercy?
Absolutely. So I have been with MercyOne here since last July. Prior to that, my professional work was in retirement living communities here in Siouxland, doing some marketing for them, but brought on when MercyOne began the inception of the geriatric behavioral health program. And really what that is, it is an inpatient behavioral health unit specifically designed for seniors 65 plus in a comforting environment to them with peers their age, similar life experiences who may be just simply going through a difficult time or struggling with a lifelong mental health illness.
Well, a lot of times as elderly, near the next phase of their life, the loss of friends, and I hear that a lot when I talk with my older friends. They lost another friend. There's a lot of things they deal with, and where do they get that support? Also, at this time of life, a lot of people are looking to make peace with themselves or other people. So I think it's a great opportunity to have an area like this where you can go and get some counseling, get some professional care, help sort things out.
Absolutely. And I think that's what really sets the geriatric unit apart is in the adult unit, you've got persons that are deciding, okay, where am I going to go with my life? What are some of my goals looking forward? Whereas on the geriatric unit, it's more about reflecting back and making peace with maybe past mistakes or a lifelong struggle or just being ready for that quality of life towards the end of their life.
I love the way you say that, reflecting back. I kind of like, I'm not at that stage yet, but it's rapidly approaching. But I kind of have gotten in this nostalgic stage where I'm really digging on Perry Mason, and the old shows like that. It just kind of feels like home because that's what we grew up with. But things have changed so much. And when you look at our elderly people and where they are, it's about, yes, I get it. Looking back, what was good and what do I wish went a little different way?
Absolutely.
And what can I do about that?
Yep.
Let me ask you, how about loneliness?
Well, I think it's such a prevalence right now with the heightening of the pandemic. And thankfully, we're on the downward track of that. But really with that isolation, we saw so many people losing loved ones or being isolated in their house and losing some of their activities and hobbies that they loved. And when that happened, you had really a loss of mobility, a loss of seniors having some of that muscle atrophy, not able to be mobile the way that they used to, and taking away some of their independence causes that maybe that first onset of depression and people not realizing, because sometimes it happens slowly and not necessarily all at once. But that is one of the basic symptoms that we do treat on the geriatric unit.
We have a very large population in this area and region of elderly people. So, we look back, baby, I go back 20, 40 years. We didn't take care of our elderly as well as we should have compared to other civilized nations. We've come a long way in that area right now. And as the baby boomers continue to grow in age,
Yes.
This is going to be a burgeoning market with continuing needs, continuing healthcare needs. And I'm glad that you're doing this because we tend to focus on the physical side of our needs, our health needs. This is the mental side, and this drives so much, I think, in later years. And when you start to put together, how am I going to put this puzzle together for the next stage of my life? What are the infirmities I have that might prevent me? How do I balance this out? And most important, how do I get some help?
Yes, we see that a lot. To your point, people that will come into the emergency room time after time for medical issues, when really those medical issues are masking maybe a psychiatric problem. And so the number of screens that we have been able to develop, the Columbia Suicide Screen is what we use in the hospital, and that's identifying maybe some underlying behavioral health or psychiatric disorders that are masking themselves as a medical condition. So being able to come to the emergency room is that first step to maybe see, what is this that I'm having or dealing with, and having that holistic level of care within the hospital. If you come in for a medical need and we identify a psychiatric need, if you come up to the psychiatric floor in that behavioral health unit, that hospitalist is still going to follow you. If you have a cardiac issue, if you have a pulmonary issue, you're going to have maybe a hospitalist or a specialist that's going to follow your time in the hospital to really have that well-rounded both medical and cognitive help.
That is great. In other words, you're not in this alone. We have somebody with you that's overlooking your whole entire package as you go through the different steps on the journey. That is a wonderful program. I'm Art Silva, along with our guest from MercyOne, Brittany Poss, and you're listening to When Things Aren't Going Well. Brittany, let me ask you, what's the criteria for a program admission?
So really, it's similar to any other behavioral health unit, but what we really look at could be a wide range of symptoms. It could be a lifelong struggle with psychiatric disorder, or it could be a very acute change, a short-term change in maybe your cognitive functioning or the way that you're adequately taking care of yourself. But the number one thing that we look at is, are you in immediate danger to harm yourself or harm others? Perhaps it is a dementia disorder that you are struggling with accepting, and we need to help you get through kind of some of those initial stages, that initial shock of perhaps a terminal illness. Maybe you've gone to an outpatient program that has been unsuccessful. So there's so many symptoms that present themselves that maybe just make a person feel off their baseline. And that's what we look at. Can we get you back to a point where you feel better, both mentally and physically?
Well, it seems like you have a program put together here where you have referrals that come in. Can you tell me where your referrals come from?
It could be from a primary physician. It could be from a caregiver. It could be from a friend. You yourself could walk into the emergency room and just say, I feel off. So a lot of our referrals are coming from care centers, nursing homes, group homes, places to where they're noticing that someone just isn't themselves. And we call that sometimes that acute episode. So meaning approximately 2 weeks that someone just isn't functioning at their baseline or is just behaving differently than their normal day-to-day behaviors.
I think it's really interesting. We notice these little things. And sometimes you don't say anything about it. Mm-hmm. And then you watch the individual continually kind of go downhill a little bit. It starts off slow. Some things are normal and natural. But, when you have the problem of having some physical ailments with it, and that can really be distorted by how you think in your head, what's going on. I love it that you go in a doctor's office now, and they look at both sides of you.
Yes.
You're getting the questionnaire on your mental health side. Mm-hmm. And they do go hand in hand. And that was a tough battle to sell. It's coming in the prominence now, and it's really good. Hand and mind, body and mind go together. So I really like this program a lot. And are there any restrictions in regards? How long is the stay?
Typical length of stay on the geriatric unit is about 11 days. So it could be shorter, it could be longer. If you come for medication management, which in the senior population, when you look at your medications, it really kind of takes a little bit longer to metabolize some of those medications. And so your length of stay might be a little bit longer if we're looking at medications. If it is maybe helping you cope with the loss of a loved one or a change in your physical health, it might be maybe that we help get you set up with outpatient therapy, and it might be a shorter length of stay. So, but typically that we try to stay within that maybe 2-week-ish time frame.
We're coming up on our break, so continue to enjoy the dawn of a beautiful day. We'll be right back with more of When Things Aren't Going Well right here on 1360 AM, 94.9 FM, KSCJ.
Let's face it, that happens to all of us. However, the pandemic has compounded all of our lives and activities. Even the simplest tasks seem harder. Hi, I'm Brenda Geisinger, the Chief Operating Officer at the Boys and Girls Home and Family Services. Family Services is a United Way partner agency serving children and families of our community, and we're here to help. If you'd like to learn more about Family Services, please contact us via email, website, Facebook, or phone Mary Pickens. At Family Services, we change lives.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well on KSCJ. Here's Art Silva.
Welcome back to When Things Aren't Going Well. I'm Art Silva along with Brittany Poss. So let's continue our discussion of MercyOne's Senior Geriatric Behavioral Health Program. So let me ask you, Brittany, what are some of the symptoms of a person in need?
A lot of times they present as a predictive factor. You can a lot of times see potentially when someone isn't going through a great time. And some of those predictive factors are maybe retirement. You have some financial hardships. Perhaps it is that loss of a loved one. It could be a loss of a pet that you were close with or your spouse that you've been with for 70 years. Perhaps you've had some of that loss of independence. You've been moved into a care center and you now have an unfamiliar environment. And some of those predictive factors lead to symptoms that rear their ugly head in multiple different ways. You can have very extreme symptoms that come out as anger, as irritability, as frustration and outbursts. But you also have some of those silent symptoms that maybe it's change in eating habits, change in sleeping habits, that anxiety, that social isolation. So some of those that it might be a little bit harder to recognize because those quiet symptoms, they don't come all at once. Anger, you can immediately identify. That anxiety takes a bit longer to see that a person is struggling.
Well, with our children right now in residency, we have 30 children, and I would have to say, looking at them, and the boys are suffering from other things, but depression, if I had to categorize it, and the young ladies are suffering from anxiety. And it's amazing the ways you look at this, but it all gets back to how they live their lifestyle and what affects them and their peer groups and their families, et cetera, and they react differently. So it's a big scope to cover. And I could only think when you add elderly to it, they have a huge universe of emotions, a huge universe of experience. I love talking to elderly people because it's like going on a history lesson.
Yes.
They can tell you, well, we take for granted, I remember grandfather telling me, I take for granted that the train always ran here. Oh, no. They used to have the stagecoach right here. And I said, what? So I mean, it's funny when you listen to them and how life has evolved and changed. And they're wonderful people to be with. So if you're out there looking to do a random act of kindness, go visit an elderly person. Go to a nursing home, say hello. Just say hello, because I think their days are long. And when you get long days, you got more time to think about things.
Yes.
And if your mind isn't fixed right or thinking about the right things, that could be a longer day. So I think if you see somebody with symptoms, you see someone that's not acting right, whether it be a family or a friend or a member or a coworker, sit down and talk with them and see where they're going. And 'cause there is help. There are programs out there. And this MercyOne program is absolutely outstanding. Let me ask you, Brittany, you have any repeat visitors?
We do. We have people that come in for what we call really their tune-up. They come and they benefit from our program, and then maybe they start to have an onset of these symptoms again. Like you said, Art, as you get older, there's a lot of downtime that you're really thinking, and perhaps you're trying to make sense of something that happened as a child, some past trauma that happened 50, 60, 70 years ago, and you're sitting and you're thinking about that, and that doesn't get fixed overnight. It may take a couple times to come back to the hospital, come get that tune-up, as we call it, and be able to get you set back on the right path, feeling good again.
Absolutely. The old checkup from the neck up, we call that with our kids, and just a physical mental health tune-up, where I am and what's going on, how am I doing, and it's a tough road. And if you're lonely, we are really focusing on loneliness. And when we talk about the elderly, we find that elderly males are having a tough time dealing with loneliness, more so than the females. They tend to find their little activities and friends and circles, but the males are having a real tough time. Can you imagine what it's like to be lonely, chronically lonely? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just a tough deal, and that will wear on you. So if I want to refer somebody over to see you, what should I do?
Our program director, Carla Smith, she carries our referral phone 24 hours a day, and the number to reach her is 712-203-3873. And we are available by that referral phone, even to just answer simple questions. Find out, is this program right for you? Do we have maybe other resources that think would be a better fit? So calling us can just be a simple chat to find out more about the program and see if it would be a good fit for you or someone that you know. But that referral line, again, is 712-203-3873, and we are available 24 hours a day by that number.
That's great. 24 hours a day, folks. Now, okay, listen, this is going to be my bit of advice here. I used to be in the car business, okay? And I believe one thing, pots is pots. So as we get older and we have to replace things, we can do that. But don't forget to get the checkup from the neck up. Like Brittany said, that little tune-up. We're going to live longer. I've seen cars with 200,000 miles on them, and they look great. So that should be your goal, because it's my goal. So anyhow, take care of yourself. It's a great program at Mercy. You don't need to suffer. So if you need some help, please get a hold of Brittany, or was it Chris over
Carla.
Carla. Oh, like in Cheers. Carla. Yes. Okay, great. I won't forget that. Get a hold of Carla. You want to give that number one more time, Brittany?
Absolutely. It's 712-203-3873. Or if you really are struggling, you can visit your nearest emergency room or walk into 801 5th Street at MercyOne, and our emergency room staff will be able to help get you to the place you need.
Well, that's absolutely great, folks. So please take advantage of the program. There's no need to suffer. Well, we're coming up to the end of our show for this week, and we like to leave you with a little mental health humor, because it is good for the soul. So here we go. A retired man now volunteers to entertain patients in assisted living homes and hospitals. He visited one hospital in Brooklyn and brought along his portable keyboard. After telling jokes and singing songs at patients' bedsides, he said farewell and, "I hope you get better." One elderly gentleman replied, "I hope you get better, too." Okay. Thank you, Brittany. Also, thanks to our listening audience. A shout out to Chris Rich and Kevin Hurley and Monster Vision. You must have this for your next event, whether it be a backyard football party or just a backyard concert. The Monster Vision. Kevin Hurley, give him a call. This is outstanding. And Chris and Kevin, thank you for your help at Boys and Girls Home. We'll be back next Saturday morning at 7 right here on 1360 AM, 94.9 FM, KSCJ. And our topic will be faith and mental wellness, just in time for Easter. I'm sure that you will find this very informational, so please plan on joining us. Don't forget to do your homework this week and go out and have a good laugh. It's good for the soul. Have a great week, and may the sun shine on you.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
For more information on the services provided by Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, see them online at boysandgirlshomeiowa.org. Or you can call 712-293-4700 to get more information about family services, residential treatment, the Opportunity School, the Siouxland Family Center, and more. At Boys and Girls Home and Family Services, we change lives. We change lives.